Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's have a good, clean episode.
Okay.
Nothing I'm tired. I don't want to do anything like bizarre.
All right. Yeah.
I just want to answer the questions. I want to edit the episode. I want to go to bed.
Okay. Nice normal episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right.
Hear ye, hear ye. Gather around, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All the Space in Between. It's happening soon. Hear ye, hear ye.
What are you doing?
I'm gathering the townsfolk.
Yeah, I
The
guess I can hear that.
simpletons, the peasants have to know that these are direct orders from the king that we're starting a new episode. And I'm sorry, I didn't expect the town jester to come and correct me or
question my orders,
what the fuck I'm doing. The direct orders from the king. Hear ye, hear ye. I'm walking around with a beautiful bedpan. I'm sorry, what is this? This is a bottle of mead from the 1500s.
This is a jar.
It's what?
It's a jar.
You don't
it's
know
a jar
that.
that you're holding.
So you don't know that.
Well, the thing is that I can see what you're doing. And what you're doing is you're hitting kind of a mason jar with what looks like an audio cable adapter.
This is a gold-plated audio cable adapter, not just anything.
So you're just in your bedroom hitting a jar is what's happening.
I forgot that you can see me.
Oh.
This is a new thing that we're doing.
Yes.
That we're on cam. Now that kind of sounds like clickbait. Like if you go to the YouTube video, we're on cam. We're not. This is a totally normal episode for everybody else. Mm-hmm. But you thought it would be cute if we could actually see each other while recording. Because we usually don't do that.
We don't.
We're usually
It's just a little treat just for us.
To see each other. Hopefully it won't make the latency too bad, even though, yeah. I mean, I'm doing some clever editing now, but when I stop talking, there's 8 seconds of pause.
There's a full 8 seconds.
I don't know. So if this sounds natural, it's only because I'm so good at editing. You thought that it would be sort of
a big brain.
It would fix that sort of a problem we have in our podcast sometimes where there's that, I mean, I try my best to edit it out, but there's that vile, black energy, you know?
You mean the evil aura?
The hatred.
The aura of evil and hatred that comes off of the
looms
podcast.
when we're having a conversation. It's always, I'm sorry, I'm talking. It's always sort of there. And you thought if we could actually see each other, it would kind of, I think you said the word, it would humanize. It would humanize the conversation a little bit.
He's using air quotes around humanize.
Yeah, you could see me with my air quotes. We're humanizing the conversation.
Yeah.
So maybe I wouldn't. They don't know, but I edit out a lot of vile things you say to me during the show. And I feel like that you'll say less of them and I can get a quicker turnaround if I didn't have to edit out all that stuff. If you could hear me and be reminded. Sorry, I'm talking. Be reminded that you're saying them to an actual person.
An actual human being.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm here in front of you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to be rude. You can talk. You can say what you were going to say. But I said what I said.
All right.
And that's
fine.
Well,
now that you've said your piece, I get... Oh.
Okay, sorry.
That
was set to a timer. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Boom! There we go. Yeah, that was set to a timer. Sorry, we already ate up all the clock of me talking.
It seems like you accidentally started playing.
I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you over the music that I just started playing when you started talking.
Okay.
And it's fading now. Beautiful song by Slow Smog.
Radio host mode.
slowsmog.bandcamp.com if you want to check out that release. I forget what we were talking about before. This is All the Space Between. My name is Mitch.
My name is Billy Blossom. Welcome to episode 95 of this horrid little advice podcast of ours.
I kind of like being able to see you.
Oh.
Seeing you do the intro and say it.
Powerful, isn't it?
It's meaningful to me.
It's mesmerizing.
We're on episode 95, and I haven't been able to see you do it in some months.
No.
Because
usually we only
this.
get the pleasure of seeing each other when we're actually in the same room, which is, again, not been for
about half a year.
6 months now?
Yeah, half a year. Because of this, I don't know if you've heard about it. This whole COVID-19 shit.
Anyone heard of it?
Yeah. The pandemic.
The global one. The one that's in all the countries.
Yeah. This is an advice podcast where we, every episode, do our darndest to give you the best advice that we can. We try and get to 3 predicaments, 3 pickles every episode. We very rarely do that. But if we're going to do it on this one, we have 3 art questions on this show. Did you know that?
We do, yeah. We decided to do a little theme.
3 art questions on the show, and they're all kind of long.
They are.
And we had kind of a sizable intro. So we should probably jump straight to that. You think?
You really went in on that hear ye shit, so I suppose we should get to
hear
it. Yeah.
Ye, hear ye. Well, you're gonna make me grab it again. Make me do something. There we go. See this? That's kind of cool. You could see me doing it. Do I look cute today?
Oh, you look wonderful. Is that? Oh, wait. Is that? What's that you're wearing? Is that a woman's waffle knit sweater?
It's a medium. You didn't include that part.
It's a medium.
It's a medium.
It's a woman's size medium.
Of course it is. It's cold. It's a long john top.
Oh. Do you have long john bottoms on?
I do.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Okay.
It's enough about me, though. You don't mind? Exactly what I'm wearing. Yes, it's a women's. I mixed and matched. You didn't mention that the long john bottoms I'm wearing are men's.
Okay.
That.
Well, are they men's or are they unisex?
They're men's.
Okay.
Let me do a quick outfit reveal just for you and not for
Oh my
anyone else.
god. Oh my god, he's standing up. Oh, he's lifting his legs up. He's giving me give me a twirl.
I have headphones on, so I can't give you a full twirl, but
that's the good stuff.
It's black on black tonight.
Goth mode.
Sorry. There we go.
I want everyone to imagine that for this art advice special, we're both kind of sitting here dressed all in black, but also wearing a little black beret.
Yeah.
Artist style.
Smoking a long little cigarette.
a long clove cigarette in a cigarette holder.
Oh, yeah. Baby.
So if I start coughing, that's the reason why.
Yeah, and if I start getting jittery, it's because I haven't had a cigarette in 8 years. But I thought for this episode would be good. That's enough riffing. We have to get to the first question.
We have to.
Wait, was there anything were we supposed to promote anything? Were we supposed to talk about anything before we start this episode?
Fuck knows.
It's all the space between us and advice podcast. We do our best. That's it.
I guess I have a Patreon.
Hey, it's the end of the month.
I guess it's the end of the month and I'm sending out one of my world-renowned, beautiful art photography zines.
Sorry.
Okay.
It was on a timer.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Boom. There we go. Can we just let it ride out? Sorry.
I loved seeing you do a dab to that.
I keep forgetting you can see me. Yes, I dab every time that happens. Of course
yes,
I do.
Maybe so. Maybe a little dab slips out of me every now and again.
Talk about your Patreon.
I have a Patreon where I put out art photography zines mostly every month. Not every month though, but you only get charged when I do put one out. And although I did one literally last month and it feels like that was yesterday, the end of the month is here again and I'm putting out yet another. And I'm very excited about it. And also, anyone who is on my Patreon by December the 1st on any tier, all of the tiers, not just the physical mail tiers, but all of them, is going to get a little holiday card from me.
Really? I didn't even know that.
It might be a photograph of a pig on it.
You don't know yet.
I don't know yet, but it's a possibility. There might be a photograph of a little piglet on there.
Don't make bold promises.
I've got a photograph of a piglet I'm considering putting on there. So
why not?
Just
let's just say fuck it. It will be that.
Think about that. Yeah. Do you want a pig card in the post? Sign up to my Patreon before December.
Which is?
It's patreon.com/BLSSM.
Very
Listen,
good.
That's my plug.
Patreon.com/BLSSM to check out everything Billy is doing on Patreon. It's very worth it. If you're into zines, if you're into art, if you're just into pictures of pigs.
What more could you want?
Check that out. And you got to do it soon. The end of the month is coming.
This week. Yes,
this week. You got to do it by this week. So there's our plug. Let's get into the first question. We have 3 art questions. No piss questions.
No.
None of that. I've got Gmail open right here. And am I fucking this up? I am.
How are you?
Hold
what
on,
are you doing?
because I don't know which one I'm reading first. That's why.
The middle one.
The middle one. There we go. Okay. I'm reading it.
Yep.
This one is called Help. I bawled too hard and now I have tendinitis. And it goes, Howdy, Blitchel. As you can probably guess by the title of this email, I, like many listeners before me, have found myself living inside a pickle. Until last month, I was someone who drew almost every single day, and when I got an especially intriguing idea for a drawing, I got really swept up in it. I'm talking forgetting to move or eat or use the bathroom for several hours at a time kind of swept up. I've used this marathon style of creating like this for many years, but alas, it finally caught up with me. Last month, after a particular 2-day stint of obsessive drawing and not eating or moving or blinking, I developed tendinitis in both of my hands. The first hand from drawing too much, and then my second hand from compensating for the first hand's fucked up for the first fucked up hand. But now that I'm only able to draw a couple times a week for about barfs, an hour at a time, I've been forced to reevaluate my creative work style. So my question goes as follows. What are your artistic work styles? Do you marathon through projects like me, or do you work slower and more deliberate? Have you found certain methods show better results than others? This also goes as a warning to my fellow artists out there. If you ball too hard, you'll get tendinitis. So stop it. Stop it right now. Thanks for reading this person's name. P.S. I've had a couple questions answered on the show before, but for the first time ever, I'm using my art school email. That's right, I got tendinitis from drawing while I'm in school for drawing. I'm so fucked. Crying emoji.
Crying emoji. Oh.
Yeah, you okay? I was about to say.
The crying emoji really got me.
Yeah, she's tearing up in her. I could see it in her eyes right now because we're on Skype. Her makeup is running.
Let me compose myself.
The first thing I have to say about that is that I read it brilliantly. So
You did.
Get a round of applause for me reading that email pretty good. The second thing, I fucked up a couple times, but I must point out one of them was a typo this person made. This person threw me a curveball.
They threw you under the bus is what they did.
Knowing that I can't read. So that was messed up. Secondly, every time I read a question, I kind of like bounce my leg. I play with stuff on the desk just because it makes it easier for me to read. And the fucking one thing I did is on these brand new pair of... I'm wearing brand new socks today. I just got them out of the wash. This is my first time wearing them. I pulled a thread out of them. Right at where the thing, and there's going to be a giant hole in them. I don't know why I did that.
But now you literally just bought these socks because your all of your socks have holes in them.
Yeah.
And you've made a hole.
Giant thread in them. Hold on.
Okay, well, at least tell us what sock you're wearing.
What?
At least show me what sock you're wearing.
Okay. That one.
Oh, it's a stripy sock.
Yeah.
Okay. I was hoping it was going to be the one with the frog on.
Grabbing a pair of scissors now so I can try and fix it without fucking it up more.
This is a cool segment of the podcast.
There we go.
Mitch fixes his sock from far away from his microphone.
There we go. And I'm back. Sorry, I'm rolling over a bunch of cords. A bunch of animal tails. You can't hear them because I've removed all their vocal cords.
They can't scream.
They're trying, and it sounds like that
they can
horrifying...
scream like, you can see it in their eyes, but you can't hear it from their mouths.
It just sounds like when a dog barks and it's like... Oh, yeah. That's not funny, by the way. I hate owners that do that.
No, it's terrible.
That's really bad.
It's horrible.
So, this person bawled too hard and now they have tendinitis.
Funny.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, hilarious.
Next question. Perhaps?
We all got a good laugh out of that one.
Thanks for writing in.
Okay, so this person wants to know, what are our artistic work styles? This is funny because it assumes like we have one on purpose,
Right.
which is not very much the case, I don't think. What do you do? What do you do? What's your work style? Apart from chaotic.
You know that it's a bit chaotic.
Yeah.
But you know I'm definitely not above or against marathoning.
No.
I do that quite a bit, actually.
You do it, I would say especially you do it when it comes to wishing.
With wishing, I'll marathon stuff a lot, yeah. With flat sound, I'm a little bit more lax. And with my taxes, I evade the tax. But mostly, yeah. I'll work on stuff. I'll work on it for large chunks for possibly too long, and I'll definitely do that thing where I'll just like I'm not eating or doing other things. I've skipped many a meal because I was like mixing something, you know?
Yeah.
Or I was especially recording something because when you're recording, I'm like, if I eat, I'm going to fuck up my vocals. I'm not going to sing in the same way. I have to get these vocals down tonight.
Yeah.
So I'll just do them for 4 hours, when I'm already hungry. So I'll add an extra 4 hours to that, and then I'll eat at the very end of the night as my little reward.
Not a good way to think about things.
So I definitely do the same thing, and it's mostly because it's not because I'm like I have this idea and I have to get it out. It's that I think I'm gonna like fuck up the project if I don't do it all in one go.
If you pause.
Yeah, it's gonna mess up the mix. It's gonna mess up how I'm playing. I'll never look at something and be like, wow, that's a really good thing on guitar. I think I can nail it in a week. I'm like, no, if I'm doing it now, I'm doing it now and never again. You're capturing a moment. That's the whole point. You're capturing something right then and there. Very few times do I think it can be recreated in a meaningful way. So I think that's what causes me to marathon a bunch of stuff. But at the same time, maybe that's complete bullshit, because even when I'm mixing for an album, even when I'm working on a bit of just writing for the website, even when I just get a little bug in my head that says you should learn to code and make an app and do these things, or make a like an Instagram filter, like it's all I'll think about that week until I do it. So maybe it's a mixture of the two. But I definitely do marathon things, but at the very same time, I also work meticulously on certain projects. I'll marathon certain aspects of it, but the bigger project, the album or the finished song or the last thing I hand in, I'm willing to wait on for a long time.
Yeah.
I'll sit on a song for a year and just say, no one's heard this yet, but now is the time to show them, I go a lot and then not at all for a long time.
And then just get a long cooling off period.
Yeah, I don't think that's the way to do it, but that is the way that I do it.
I picked up a terrible, terrible little habit all through school.
Smoking cigarettes.
And no.
Okay, go on.
I picked up a horrible habit, which is leaving everything as much to the last minute as I possibly can, and then absolutely ruining my mental health, ruining my sleep cycle, ruining my eating cycle, ruining my sanity and those of everyone that I love around me. And then, here's the bad part, getting a really good grade for it.
Right. Almost rewarded for it.
That's the terrible part, is that it never didn't work for me.
Right.
I was like, through high school, they were like, you won't get away with this in sixth form. And then in sixth form, I dropped out. So I didn't have to get away with it.
There you go. You found a hack,
but they
a
kept saying, in university, you won't get away with this. And then what do you fucking know? I got away with it and I passed with honors.
Yeah,
so
you did great.
I got the top grade, which is terrible because it feels like I never learned my lesson.
No.
Yeah, which is like cramming works. But the thing is, it works to get a grade. It does not work to maintain any kind of good mental balance in your life. So now that I'm not being graded anymore, especially, I have to think more like, it doesn't fit. If I take a few more days with something, the world's not going to end, So I feel like I've given myself a little bit more freedom to be like, okay, you can actually calm down a little bit. Like, if you don't post this thing on Patreon, say, tonight, your patrons aren't going to all fucking hate you if you post it, like, 11 hours later after you go to sleep, They're not all going to, like, fucking cancel you for that. Like, It's fine. You can be more flexible when you're on, your own schedule kind of thing. That said, I don't know. I try to be better at it. Sometimes I still fall into bad habits. So
we're sort of like, it's a bit difficult to talk about too, because not hard to talk about. Like, I'm gonna get choked up, but like it's hard to pinpoint because we're looking at a lot of nuanced things here. Are you someone who procrastinates and crams last minute? Or are you somebody that really cares about a project and doesn't want to stop doing it?
Right.
Are you, sometimes we marathon for different reasons, right? I will say that having that deadline and a sense of responsibility or an expectation or even a punishment, like I'll get in trouble if I don't do the schoolwork. And that's why I crammed it all last minute. I procrastinated because I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But I did it all because I knew I would be punished if I didn't.
Right.
And then my reward I got in the end was that I'm actually a good artist or a good student or a good writer, and I could have made it work. I think that's a little bit different than
It is,
becoming
yeah.
obsessed with a project and not being able to put it down.
You're
Because
very right.
when I was working on I Clung to You, I sat in this chair, not this chair, this very chair on a night.
First
just
of
like
all, that's
tonight.
my chair you're sitting in.
And it's fucking comfortable. When I was working on I Clung to You, I sat in the same spot. When I was finishing up the album, it's a 16-track album. It took a long time to record. But when it was time to, at least what I knew and understand at the time as like my finish mix, my finish master, it's completely different than what I know today as mastering music. But when I was mastering that album at 20 years old, 10 years ago, I sat in the same spot. And I'm not saying I didn't move. I went to the bathroom, but I did only that for 16 hours. I listened, and that's not how you're supposed to do audio stuff at all. It's so much better if you give your ears a break. You walk away, you listen to other stuff. You only do a couple hours at a time. You fatigue yourself like that.
Yeah.
And you don't even get the best results because of it. But I couldn't step away from the project. I couldn't believe I was at the finish line of this major album that I was doing. I couldn't believe it. And I just kept going and going and going and going. And it's not good.
No.
It's not helpful. But it's what artists do.
Yeah, it's what you fall into sometimes. Yeah. I don't feel like I have that issue as much because I don't know. I get very easily overwhelmed with myself, and I usually find like the best thing, especially when it might be similar with audio, but when you're editing photographs and you're looking at a photograph for a certain amount of time, your eyes get used to like a certain level of contrast, a certain color temperature, blah, 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 blah. And you can get like too sucked into it. And like the best thing to do so much of the time is just like go look at the real world for like 15, like just take any kind of break and then come back to it and be like, oh, what was I thinking? This is so dark. Lighten it. You know?
There's so many. I'll still do it today all the time. I'll be working on a song. You and I will be hearing it a lot. It'll sound fine. We come back to it in a week and we're just like, turn those vocals up. What are we thinking back there? Like turn this up, turn this down. You need fresh ears. You need fresh eyes to experience that thing.
Yeah, you need a little bit of perspective that's got by stepping away from stuff, I think.
I just remembered actually that this is something that I've spoken to my therapist about.
Is it really?
Yes. And his advice, he basically told me that the thing inside of my brain that wants me to just keep going on a thing, at least to the extent of like, when I completely lose my mind and I start to speak into microphones for hours and hours a day, and I'll say, this is me testing the Shure SM7B compared to a large diaphragm condenser microphone, but with these settings and this compression, I fell into it very, very hard, and I could just tell when something is related to an interest rather than being triggered by my compulsions. And that's why I spoke to him about it. I said, I think I'm getting a little bit bad when it comes to stuff like this. And he explained to me that I should take advantage of that part of my brain that wants me to do something like that, but also recognize that at a certain point, it's no longer helping me. So if I get obsessed with a song or a microphone or a this or a vocal take or comparing this or this, if you do that thing for 3 hours, 4 hours straight, even sometimes, you probably learned something there.
Yeah.
You probably gained some practice, some knowledge, you learned some new things, and it's actually beneficial to you as an artist. If you're on hours 8, 6 or 8, there's a diminishing return to how much help you're getting from that thing. And if you're on hour 16, you're probably harming yourself, like getting tendinitis. So you have to
physically
pull it back a little bit and understand that some of that is really helpful to you.
Yeah.
But determine at what point is your breaking point.
Yes.
What point?
That's very good advice.
Do you have to? Just say, you know what? I've had enough of this. I have to put it down. And for me, sometimes I'll just set a timer. I'll say I'm allowed to play with this microphone. I did it just this week. I was playing with my Earthworks microphone, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for 45 minutes. And then at this time, I'm going to make dinner. But for 45 minutes straight, I'm just going to do anything I want with this microphone. I'm just going to listen to it and compress it and do some tests and do some side-by-sides. And then at exactly 10, my phone goes off and I'm done. I have to walk away from it. So maybe something like that.
I like that. That's a good little hack. Yeah. I like it. I also, I've just remembered this from looking at this person's email. This person's made art of us before.
Have they?
They have, yeah. They did a beautiful little art of me and you for the podcast, where you were very square-jawed, very handsome.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was the 3 Bs, bald, beautiful, and bug-eyed. The large eyes of a bug.
So just like real life for the both of us.
Yeah, and they're a very talented artist.
Really?
They're very, very good. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think your advice was really good.
Cool. We have to move on to the next 2 questions.
If
we're going to answer 3 on this show, we have to move on to the next 2 questions. But good luck out there, tendonitis person. Don't hurt your hands too much.
No.
Scale it back a little bit when you start to feel better. Don't go as hard. Don't ball too hard. I think you'll even create better art because of it.
All of us occasionally ball too hard.
Of course.
It's our cross to bear that sometimes we ball too hard. It's not your fault.
Yeah, of course we do that.
Okay, I'm reading this one?
Yes.
Okay, this one is called A Crisp and Crunchy Art Pickle. And it says, "Hello, Meech, and I'm Billy," which are Discord emoji references.
Hell yeah.
This is technically an art pickle, also kinda a mental health pickle. Call it what you like. I've been an artist of different kinds throughout my life, from acting to art, both traditional and digital, to poetry and other writings. I've always struggled with the same issue though, comparing myself to others. The environment I grew up in during theatre in high school was really toxic and competitive. I feel like that laid down the groundwork for a lot of self-esteem issues due to being a young and impressionable teen with undiagnosed ADHD and other mental illnesses. Therefore, I find I struggle so much with comparing my art to other people's art and not being satisfied until I get outside validation. For instance, I stressed so much over this past home.html Discord open mic night. I was writing and editing my poems the week prior, just thinking, wow, I hope all the Discord members, including my good friends who I look up to, Mitch Flatsound and Billy Blossom, don't hear this and realise I'm a fraud as an artist. And then I performed and my poems were big hits. No matter how much this happens, I always scare and stress myself over these kind of things. I also get scared that other people will see the lack of attention my art gets on social media and secretly judge me for it, which I know is stupid and logical, but my brain gremlins are so loud and stupid. Anyway, all that to ask if you both struggle with this kind of thing? Do you post art or share it with friends and stress about it not being good enough? If so, how do you deal with that and or try to talk to your brain out of its illogical thinking? Sincerely signed, this person's name. P.S. I wanted to say that both of your support in this past open mic and previous ones really meant the world to me. Sincerely, thank you so much. Mitch's art has always been a great comfort for me and a huge inspiration, especially since I took up poetry. You're both very talented artists, but more importantly, wonderful people that I feel very grateful to know and be a regular part of the Discord with. But Mitch, I will never forget that time you gaslit me in Among Us so hard I lost the round. I have forgiven, but not forgotten. Seriously though, thank you so much for reading if you've got this far, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, night, or what have you. Heart.
First of all, that's true. I did absolutely gaslight this person when playing Among Us. It was the only time I've ever played because some people in the Discord were like, we're playing, join in. And I was like, I don't know how to play this game. And I was like, oh, it's all about being a conniving little shit.
Oh, I'll be great at it.
Okay, this is perfect. I'll just be my truest self.
It's about lying, cheating, and stealing.
Yeah, there you go. I'll do it. And I've kind of been on that ever since.
Just in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turned a switch in my brain, and now I can't turn it off. Great question, though. So, validation when it comes to art. This is such a serious episode too. We're really getting into it.
We are. So sometimes we like to just get into it.
When you ask us about art, it's a genuine interest for us. Yeah, we love talking about this shit. Validation in art is very tricky
It's
because
such a tricky subject.
it's
Yeah.
not everything, but it's so helpful.
Yes.
You don't make art for other people. I've been saying that my whole life. I don't make art for other people. I don't make art for other people. But man, is it a confidence boost when a bunch of people tell you that that art fucking resonated with them in such a deep and meaningful way. That makes you look at, like, so much of art is confidence. The confidence that you can actually pull this thing off. And when other people tell you you're doing great at it, it gives you that confidence to make more art. It makes you want to make more art.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. It's really, really difficult. What's really interesting about this too, and I'm just looking over the email now, is that the social media aspect of this, feeling like they're not doing enough because, or I think feeling that people are judging them because their art isn't like blowing up on social media. Let me just reassure you, social media as a place for artists is a dying platform.
Yeah.
It's not for building your art anymore. It's for going viral off of stolen jokes.
We had this conversation like maybe about a week ago, maybe a bit more, because I was going through a similar thing this person was going through.
Yes, you were.
So, I mean, that answers this person's question where they're just like, do you struggle with this kind of thing? Yes, I do, personally. Especially when it comes to social media.
Right.
I feel like I got quite a lot of validation, like, when I was at university and other people that I know that are artists and stuff like that, but especially since like lockdown, where everything is online, I'm just like, oh, my followers don't go up ever, and like, oh, my stuff doesn't get much traction, and like, oh, no one likes my photography on Twitter, and you had to like give me a very serious kind of sit down and be like, hey, stop it.
Yeah, social media's busted. That's what I told you. Like,
yeah.
Look, when I was coming up, I built a career off of MySpace and Tumblr, and those were platforms where you could actually build a career on.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's very true when it comes to Twitter and Instagram, especially today. And I'll even go so far as to say that if I had the exact same come up, the exact same one, minus Tumblr and MySpace, and I started on Twitter and only did all my grinding on Twitter, I would not have the same career I have today. It's a different, I don't think I could have done it. It's a different platform for a different purpose. Tumblr was closed off, and it was kind of nerdy, and it was for artists, and it was, it was so good when it came to like interacting with people and answering questions and becoming a person that people want to follow and get to know. Yeah. And it archived all of your stuff. Twitter is such a flash in the pan, here today, gone tomorrow. How many times have we seen some e-girl blow up because of a TikTok, get 40,000 followers on Twitter, and in 3 months complain about it because it's such a bad and toxic place, or because it wasn't the same as their other platform they were on, or that all the attention all at once came and then died. I can name like 4 or 5 people off the top of my head that came up on Twitter all at once. And we're just blown away at how 2 years from then they were nobody. Nobody gave a fuck because that's how social media works. It's not a place to build your art anymore. What is the next thing? I don't know. It's kind of like we're on the cusp of something. There's this unexplored frontier in front of us. It's no longer MySpace, obviously. It's no longer Tumblr. It's never been Twitter or Instagram. Not really.
Yeah.
Because I know so many people that have 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 followers on these platforms, and they cannot pay rent.
Yeah.
And they cannot monetize off it, and they can't do these things. It doesn't mean anything that you're like, the social media is only for trying to build this illusion that you're important to other people.
Yeah.
But it doesn't translate to real life. And it has nothing to do with your ability as an artist or your success as an artist or anything like that. But I totally get why posting something on social media and getting lots of likes for it feels very good.
Of course.
And then posting something on social media and it appearing like nobody gives a fuck feels really bad.
Obviously.
It's just you and we, everybody, all of us, have to condition ourselves of this new way of thinking that says Twitter is not anything. It's not shit.
Yeah.
And I'm currently trying to do that now. This past week, I signed out of Twitter on my office computer so I can just like not check it anymore. And the amount of times I catch myself going to twitter.com just when my mind hits a blank, just when I have a free moment. That first day I was doing it every few minutes, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, the second day I was doing it less and less. I have to unlearn how to not be addicted to this place that gave me serotonin, pats on the back for just for nothing, you know, for something that was meaningless, for clout. I guarantee it's nothing.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It does not make a difference at all. And also, like, I don't know. I have. Okay, sounds like I'm talking about my Patreon a lot, but we're talking about art, and that's where I put my art and how I make money off of it. So it just happens to be relevant. I swear I'm just not unnecessarily plugging it.
Patreon.com/BLSSM for anybody that's listening. Go on.
No, but what I was going to say is I make an okay amount on Patreon.
Yes, I would say so.
It's up there publicly, and I make a few $100s, which to a lot of people is like, well, you can't live off of that. But it's also more money than so many people I know make on Patreon. Even though on social media I don't have many followers. I know a lot of people who have much more followers and much more interaction, but they can't get people to sign up because like a lot of those followers just came off of like viral joke tweets that they did and stuff like that, and they're like not interested in art. And that's the thing about Twitter in particular, is like there's so many people on Twitter. Everyone is fucking on Twitter. How many of those people enjoy like art? Okay, everyone enjoys art, but how many people are like into it actively?
Really into it, yeah.
And then how many people are into the medium you do it? And then how many people are into the style that you do it? That funnel is so sharp.
It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And at the end of it, how many of those people want to support you?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're left with just a handful, you know?
You're left with a small
You start out with
handful.
1,000 and you make that funnel smaller, smaller until you're left with just a handful of beautiful people.
Yeah.
Social media didn't do that, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like you can find that validation that you're looking for in places that aren't that. That's what I took away from it when me and Mitch had a similar conversation a week or so ago as well. It's like, but I don't know. Every time I find an artist that I really, really enjoy, and they usually have, a bigger presence than me or whatever, and I reach out to them and they like my work, I'm like, cool. That's really cool. But they're just one person, and that feels much better than me if I randomly got 5,000 followers.
Right.
And I think sharing something in the Discord with people who are also into poetry, who are into spoken word, who appreciate stuff like that, and getting their feedback and getting those people being like, wow, that actually like moved me to tears, literally. I think that's a way better form of validation than getting however many likes on Instagram,
The likes don't translate to anything.
No, they don't. But unfortunately, social media is created in this way where it's this like gambling casino mechanic that is like, oh, bigger numbers, better feeling.
It's made exactly like that. It's literally rewiring your brain. It's tricking your brain into getting some kind of like dopamine response from something that's completely meaningless at the end of the day, and something that doesn't even really help your art that much.
No. And I guess my biggest takeaway is like, I would prefer fewer validations of a better quality, than many of following and likes and whatever. I would prefer less people, but those people support me properly rather than just passively are kind of there, like that's so much more useful. Just, for your confidence, for a sense of community, for monetizing it, for all of it. It's just so much more helpful.
It is.
Yeah. So that'd be my advice. That's how I'm dealing with it.
Right.
Anyway.
There's two more things I want to quickly get to regarding this question, and then we'll move on to the third, even though we're cutting it close here. They mentioned that they struggle so much with comparing their art to other people's art, and that they're not satisfied until they get that validation. And that's another thing that you have to eventually learn to leave behind. Is that you make different art than the people around you, both the people that you look up to, and then your friends and the people that you hate even. You're a different artist doing a different thing. And it's good to look at your art and compare it to theirs, but not in a way where you think yours is not good enough. If you ever compare your art to someone and you think yours is not good enough, let that only be the drive to make better art and nothing else. But not for you to actually think you're not a good artist. We're all learning how to do something. We're all just trying to get better at something, and you'll only get better at it if you do it all of the time. I look at other people's art all the time, and I say, that's great. That's really, really, really good. And then just make a giant wall between their art and my art. It doesn't matter. Do you like your art? This is the only thing that matters. From the outside validation, it's helpful to compare it to other people, especially if you can walk away and say, oh, I think my art's better, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. That's also a form of validation. The most useful thing you can do is make art that you genuinely love. Not it's okay because it's, well, I did my best and I was only this old, this age when I made it, and I was really rushed. And don't make excuses. Do you love your art? Love it. Do you love your fucking art? Yes, it's good enough.
Yeah, then you're not a fraud.
Then it's good enough. Yeah. If you love it genuinely, then it's good enough. And other people might dislike that art that you love. That doesn't fucking matter either. If you love it with all of your heart, it's not going to matter. And to get to that point is really difficult. And then you second guess yourself all the time and blah, blah, blah. Especially when, again, I say this from a place of like I've done so much with my art that it's easy for me to say, oh, of course I love my art, because every day people tell me it's good. That's really helpful to me. But early on, I was telling myself, I was telling my father, I was telling my friends that I'm just doing it to create art. I don't care if people like it. I'm just doing it to create art. All the other stuff was just an additive plus. And it is helpful, but it's not everything.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have two things you wanted to say?
I'm trying to remember the fuck the other thing. Oh, yeah. The other thing was just that we know who this person is, right? And I know we're talking about validation and whether or not you're a fraud and blah, 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 all this stuff. So I don't want to say this in a way that's sort of feeding into the validation, but this person's an amazing writer.
It's true.
And that's not just me saying that. Other people from the Discord have told me that multiple times.
Yeah. This
person is an incredible writer. When they do the open mic and they do their spoken word, it moves people, right?
Yeah.
You can do amazing things with this.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be that thing that's like trying to hold you back. You got to push through it. You got to make art. You got to continue to make art. And maybe part of what's making you so great is this fear that it's not good enough. But just understand there's a comfortable balance there of that helping you and that hindering you. Make sure it's helping you.
Yeah. That, using that kind of like wanting to be better to, keep on improving over your career instead of like being like, well, it's bad, so I should stop.
Exactly.
Like that'd be the worst thing to do.
No, I will always, every time I work on a wishing project, Christian will send me a track and we'll go back and forth being like, no, this is incredible. No, you're great. I have to rework my thing now because your shit is too good. Like I will go back and forth saying, no. Don't even listen to what I sent you. It's shit. Like, because I just heard what you did for Maple and it's the best melody I've ever heard in my life. I need to rework this thing. That sort of it's not insecurity, but you're using that to a help. Like you want to make better art because of these people around you. You can influence each other in a positive way, and it doesn't have to be this thing where you kind of you get too in your head about it and you say, fuck, they're good, I'm bad, I'll just quit. No, it's not like that.
No. I'll also say, it's just as a very last note before we have to go on to the third one, it's so often people who are very talented have not so much confidence in their work. There are so many people out there who are not doing very good work, or more than that, don't really care about their work, kind of thing, and are just fucking slapping it out there.
Yeah.
You know? And it is the saddest thing to me that people like that get the attention because they don't care.
Right.
But they just consistently, they're just throwing it out.
Of course.
You know? And you deserve that attention that other people are getting. So, you know, you just, yeah, I don't know. That's just another point that I'd like to make.
Keep going is what we're saying, right?
Yes.
Keep going,
Yes.
even when it's difficult, and make this the starting point in that little voice in your head that says, "I am a good artist," because that applies to a lot of people. You are good artists. What you need is a little bit of confidence. What you need is to probably work on your art more. Not this person, because we know that they write all the time. But a lot of artists out there, you know, like they're not actually working on their art. You need to make your art. You need to get better at it. It is a skill. You need to share it boldly, and you need to not expect too much. Don't expect other people to care. Most people won't give a shit about your art, and it doesn't mean anything because your art.
Most people don't give a shit about art in general.
No,
you
it's
know?
self-expression.
So,
It's for you.
Yeah.
Do it for you, and then if you do it for long enough, and then maybe something can be built off of that. But make art for you, period.
Good.
Not for Twitter, not for Instagram, not for blah, 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 whatever. That validation means nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Put a bow on that one.
Put a bow on that one. We have a third question, and we have not decided who's going to read it.
Okay.
What do you feel like?
I'll give it a go.
Go for it.
I'll give it a go. We are at like pretty late into the episode. I think we're just like doing hour-long episodes now.
Apparently so.
Hour plus episodes. You know, I mixed this thing all in one day.
This email is written in a serif font, so maybe that will make it easier for you to read.
That's what I was thinking the first time I read it. I go, hey, I'm actually kind of reading this thing with not too much trouble. I think it's the serif font.
It looks like a book is why.
Yeah, it's pretty good. This one is called Big Job / Life Plans to Make on Monday. And it says, hey, Billy and Mitch. Hold on, there's some notes here. It's she, her, or they, them if you prefer. I don't care really. And for your possible reference, I turn 25 soon. So I have a huge decision to make very soon, like probably the Monday that the next episode goes up, if not Sunday possibly. I'm really cutting it close.
Oh.
So today, maybe.
Now.
If you all have already recorded the episode, then feel free to just ignore this whole email, lol, no worries. I was very recently offered a job that would pay me like between 3 to 6 times more than I make right now. I can't explain how amazing the money is for an inexperienced dummy such as myself, plus benefits and all that crazy stuff. But I had also just started the process of finally deciding to pull myself out of my years-long depressive funk and really pursue art. And the timing is awful. I feel like if I accept this job, I'll be way less likely to actually paint or make films because I'll be so overwhelmed with a full-time corporate job, and the next 5 years will just pass much the same, and I'll have nothing to show for the living I've done. Is that dramatic? Probably. My parents think so. Is it smart to at least try out this job even in the short term and try to do art on the side with the goal to slowly build up my art and make it my primary source of income, if possible, or to instead pass on the job and hunker down in my room and spend the same time creating all the art I can and trying to actually make money with it? It just feels like it would be difficult to work around the scheduling if I try to do both. My current job is incredibly flexible and lax, and the scary new job is very structured and adult. It's like marketing or something boring and soul-sucking like that. I don't totally understand it yet. It's funny. I've always thought that your 20s are a time to experiment with interests and career paths, and I would hate to potentially waste that time in an office job, which, yes, I have already been doing for like 3 years now. I would super appreciate any bit of advice that you might have on this, as I only have my parents giving me their advice now, and their idea of happy doesn't quite mesh with my own. Money equals happiness to them, which I get is a valid enough perspective, but I think that making money doing something that I actually enjoy would benefit my happiness more. Anyway, thanks if you even read this. Sorry if it was way long. I can't really tell how writing will translate into reading aloud. This person's name. P.S. You've heard the usual love all that you do jazz from me before, so I shan't spout that at you all again. You already know that I love and appreciate your art and that it is a huge inspiration to me. JK, why would you remember that I said that, Lamau? But please believe me that I did. And sorry that I don't have any interesting, read gross, stories to entertain you. Oh, my aunt once peed in a bag of ice in the car. Does that please you? The image of a bag of yellow ice? Probably.
It did, actually.
It was pleasing to me.
I was pleased by that little tidbit at the end. Thank you for that. Yeah, it really gave me that good 50-minute perk that I needed into the episode.
Rate my reading.
I'd give you an A for effort.
I give it a 7 out of 10.
I'd give you an A for effort and an F for execution.
And then an F just as a failing grade.
No, I thought you did pretty good.
Fine. I did okay.
You did pretty good.
My brain feels like pudding a lot.
Yeah. Soft-boiled egg for a brain.
It does do that occasionally. Okay, last question. I do have some opinions about this. I have many of them, actually. But I'd like to see where you stand first.
Okay. Where I stand, I think, is... You say that this job pays between 3 and 6 times more than you make right now. I don't know how much you make right now, but even if you're on minimum wage,
it's a life-changing amount of money.
3 to 6 time minimum wage is a fucking good wage.
It's an incredible wage.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good fucking salary, I would say. And I would also say that, I don't know, usually job opportunities usually only come around every once in a while. You know, your art will kind of always be there, in whatever, you know, however much time you want to spend on it. So I'm leaning towards probably take the job.
There we go.
Actually, is that where you're leaning?
Let's give a round of applause for the correct answer. There we go. That's let's not call it the correct answer. Let's give it the answer that we both agree with.
Yeah.
You're right into the podcast. There's 2 artists here. You probably expect us to be, no, chase your dreams. You only get this opportunity once, and you're in your 20s, you're in your mid-20s right now, and you need to do art because it worked for Mitch from Flat Sound, and it'll work for you, and blah, 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 whatever. No, I agree with your parents, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I'm dad mode.
It's the safe option. If and also, I don't know how you landed this job, but it pays 3 to 6 times more than what you're making right now. And you described it as it's like marketing or something boring and soul-sucking like that. I don't totally understand it yet. How do you not understand the position you landed? You are in a blessed position right now. You have to take this. It pays up to 6 times more than what you're making right now, and it's an office job. It's a safe job. Take the safe job. Art will never be safe. It's not the safe option, and if you're starting from nothing right now, realistically, there's a very slim chance that you're going to make art your living. Very few people do.
And it takes
years.
Time,
it takes years to do that.
And at least for the first couple of years, I would say, how do I say this? If you spend 1 year working only on your art, you think in your head, you're like, I'm going to get up at 9 and I'm going to work till 5 on my art.
It's not.
No, you're not.
No,
that's
you're
not. That's not what any of us fucking do, because you only have drive on some days, you only have inspiration on some days, blah, 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 blah. realistically, you're going to get about as much art done as if you probably take this job and do it on the weekends.
Right.
You know?
You can't schedule creativity.
And when you're doing this job, I don't know, you can always quit it. You can always quit it, but you can save up a nest egg or something in the meantime, so that when you do quit it, you've got some money to put towards your art or just to live on for a little while.
I'd work this job for a couple years in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Work it for some time. Maybe you'll actually like it. Maybe you'll hate it. Maybe who knows? But you can quit it.
Yeah.
You
can always quit. You can always quit it.
You can't say fuck you to this amazing job opportunity. Turn around. Try this art thing where there's such a large percentage of a chance that you'll fail at this. It's almost everything. It's so slim that you'll succeed in art in a way that will actually make you a living.
In a way that will sustain you financially to that degree.
It's so rare.
Yeah.
It's so rare. And it's worth pursuing. I'll always tell people that it's worth pursuing, but like it's a lot of work and not in the ways that you expect. It's not just like if I put in the hours, I'll do it. It's not that kind of work. It's not that wake up at 9 o'clock and work until 5 type of work. It's a lot of other things mixed with opportunity, mixed with luck, mixed with tons of other things, right? Yeah. And you can work as hard as you can at this thing and still fail at it. It's art. That's how it is, you know?
Yeah.
You already have this amazing job lined up. Take it. Take it. Of course, take it.
I would say take it. I would also say that this person's like, oh, well, you know, I thought that your 20s are the time to experiment and blah, 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 blah. That might be true for most people. I will also say you can experiment at like any fucking point of your life.
Of your life, yeah.
Yeah, like 30 is not old by any stretch. 30 is still very young.
Of course.
You could do this job for the next 5 years and be like, you know what? Well, I did it for a while. Whatever. Now I'm out and I want to do something else.
And I got all this money.
Yeah, exactly. And you could... 30 is a super young age to switch careers.
30 is so young, but young people don't understand that, especially by today's standards. But believe me, you're not even approaching old until you're like 45. You know, like you're and still even then you're a little spring chicken. Like you're in your baby now.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, my point is, I wouldn't worry about like I'm wasting the part where I'm meant to do something interesting. That's do not be like, well, once I'm out of my 20s, that's it. I can't do anything interesting anymore.
I gotta just go bald and have a kid now.
Right?
No, fucking. You know, the guy from Third Eye Blind wrote he was in his 30s for their debut album, you know? Like there's so many artists out there that I think of that like we were just watching the Blur perform song number 2, right, on Letterman in 1997. And we're like, look at this adorable little ass. Look at he's just on stage shaking it up going, woohoo. How old do you think he was here? We thought he was like 22, 23 years old. He was like he was like 29 or 30.
Yeah.
You're so young. That was like that was him on Letterman, and that was like 4 years before he was like, I think I'll start the Gorillas now. You know,
I think I've got this wacky idea for a cartoon band. I think anyone will like it.
Start Gorillas now. Yeah. There's so much time to create, but not everybody gets the opportunity that you have right now to make 3 to 6 times more. That is a life-changing amount of money, and I guarantee you it will, if you're smart with it. And you and even if you're working a 9-to-5 job, weekends, after work, days off, something, you'll find the drive to create. Maybe it's one of those office jobs where you can sit there and kind of fuck off on a computer all day and you're still getting your art done like that.
Maybe so.
A very telling thing here, too, is that let's say you were on the cusp of notoriety for your art, and then you were given this job and you were meant to like forget about the art for a while. Let's say you were already making almost a living with your art, and then this job opportunity, and that was the dilemma. Then we're looking at more of a dilemma here. Yeah. Then we're just, I'm so close to this other thing, but this is a guaranteed thing. I think you're still at the beginning, and you got to take the job because had mentioned, like, it'll be way less likely to actually paint or make films because I'd be so overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. What is it that you do? Do you paint? Do you make films? Do you want to be a director? Are you a screenwriter?
Yeah.
Like, if you just like art in general and you just think that you want to make it one day, that's way too vague. It's
like spend a year or two or whatever fucking about in different mediums and figuring out, what you really like. Maybe the thing that you really like is mixed media. Maybe you paint on film. I don't know. But but mostly everyone needs like a good year or so to just fuck about, I think, and settle into stuff. And you can do that fucking about on the weekends, I think.
You can absolutely do that.
While saving up money. It's smart to do, I think. I think that's smart to do.
Yeah. Most days I don't have time to create except for on the weekends either. Like, maybe if I'm lucky 2 days a week, I'll have time to actually sit there and be productive in my
do
art
some
and
music.
create something, write something, because my job, the other aspects of being Flat Sound have encompassed my whole week. It's not just this podcast. This is just 1 day a week, but what about the days that I have to do merchandise? And what about the days that I have to do this other stuff? And I have to get back to these emails, and then I have to make sure that Zach gets this file by this time, and then I have to make sure that these things are happening. I'm only getting a couple days a week too.
Yeah.
You can still make art then.
Yeah.
You can make consistent art then. True. If you 1 day a week really focused on your art and just created something and put something out like once a month, you would be so much more active than every artist I know.
Yeah.
Because most artists don't make art.
Yeah, it's true.
Most artists have the time and they don't make art. If you really care about this art, you can make it work still. And you can be consistent at it, and you can do both things. So that's my opinion. I agree with your parents. You should still pursue the art.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think so.
And if you structure it in a way where, like, maybe one day it'll actually generate some type of livable income, then that's great. And you can consider that. But don't turn down this job over that idea when you're not even at the beginning stages of it yet.
Yeah, when the job is a tangible, actual thing that's there. Yeah. And again, if you really hate the job,
quit.
You can just quit it.
You
can quit it. Then that's fine. It's not a life sentence. It's totally fine. Do it for however much time you feel like it serves you.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry we're mum and dad mode for this question. But that's the answer.
The whole thing. We have this fun shit and piss podcast, and we're making just cock jokes but then this episode, 3 questions of giving the most genuine advice that we can.
We're validating you. We're telling you to save up for a nest egg.
Like, you have to have something
what the other
to fall
question
back
was.
on.
I guess not getting tendinitis. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It was understand your own boundaries and your own limitations, and bring it back a little bit so you don't end up hurting yourself by going too hard. You are a good artist. We're validating you, but it's not everything, and you have to really believe in yourself. And make sure you have a good nest egg to fall back on. If the opportunity presents itself, you have to go for those realistic things, especially today in today's economy. We're not exactly a flourishing economy anymore. If this were the 80s, go ahead, start a business. Who cares? Go bankrupt. Who gives a fuck? Everyone's doing cocaine.
Fuck it. It's 1997. Blur is on TV. Get in on the .com boom.
Who cares? But 2020, take the job.
2020. Yeah, 2020.
Take the job, bro.
Jobs
Do
are fucking thin on the ground, to be honest,
Yeah, that's...
So many people are not having them right now.
And you have one that'll pay that much, please take that job. And then continue to make art.
I loved hearing you, Mitchell Flat Sound, say the words "in today's economy" seriously, in a serious manner.
Yeah, I mean it.
I know that you mean it, and it's really funny to me. That makes it funnier that you mean it.
I've been thinking about finances lately. I've been thinking about my own finances lately. I've been structuring around it.
Interesting.
This has been All the Space Between. My name is Mitch.
My name is Billy. Thank you so much for listening to this very sincere episode, but I really enjoyed talking on it and listening to the advice also that Mitch was giving.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had a fun time. I hope that you all enjoyed listening to it and got something useful out of this episode, even if we didn't. You do our usual shit and piss diaper baby puns.
I've enjoyed watching you this whole time.
I forgot that you can see me.
I can see you.
I can see you, but I forgot that you can see me.
Your eyebrows look great.
Oh, thank you.
You have a little thing on your lip. It looks like you bit your lip, but I think that's really cute.
Well, I probably did.
Yeah, you probably did bite your lip. I like your piercings.
Okay.
Your bangs are funny.
Wait, let me see.
Your hair is funny.
You let me do the whole episode like this with my bangs looking like that?
Pretty funny.
Oh my god. Great.
There you go.
Perfect. Thanks. Now I'm going to do the outro in a bad mood. If you have a fucking pickle or whatever that you would like us to bite into, art related, shit and piss related, funny, serious, whatever, we would love to read it. We read every single question that you guys send in, and we read most of them on the show that we think are good. If you would like to send one in, then our email address is
allthespacein-between@gmail.com. And I guess all we're asking now is that you tell your friends about the show. If you like, last week's episode got kind of a lot of plays, didn't it?
I think it's because we put enema in the title.
And you know what? Our last like really peak episode was called Spider-Man's Ass.
Yeah. We need to put something ass related in the title.
Not this title, no. That's like pure clickbait. But like next episode, we have to just like strictly talk about assholes or something. And then we'll just get a ton of new listeners. The wrong
biggest
kind.
peak we've ever seen.
The wrong kind of listeners, but
of course.
New listeners nonetheless. Guys, please tell your friends about the show. It means a whole lot. We're usually here, saying stuff like, if you want to hear more episodes, and we do mean that. If you do want to hear more episodes, wherever you're hearing this one,
then do it.
Just listen to more episodes. You know the name of the podcast. It's All the Space in Between. Just look it up wherever podcasts are found. It's including YouTube and stuff. But we do have a website. We haven't done anything to it cool yet, but you can listen to it on our website if you do want to. And that website is
allthespaceinbetween.com.
That's it?
That's all.
That's all, folks.
That's us.
What are we, over an hour? God, I gotta mix this thing.
You gotta edit it.
New episodes every Monday. Thank you guys so much for listening to us talk about art. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.